Algebra 2, Section 1.2, Evaluate and Simplify Algebraic Expressions. Before we get into this, let's make sure we understand the difference between an expression and an equation. An expression can be a series of numbers and operations such as 3x plus 2. An equation, I'll write it over here for you. An equation can be something like 3x minus 2 equals 0. Difference being the equal sign for the equation, and for the expression it's just the numbers with the operations. So when we're working on equations, we are going to solve equations and we evaluate expressions. So keep those terms in mind. This is all about expressions, so we're going to be evaluating these in this section. Some of the things you're going to find: expression formed by repeated multiplication of the same factor is a power. So you're familiar with exponents and powers from the Algebra 1. Power has two parts, the exponent and the base. So the base can be 3 and the exponent can be a 4. Again, we can throw letters like these as well. We can have 5 to the 8th power, or b to the 6th power. So that we can have numbers and letters interchangeable there. Let's evaluate, again, evaluating some expressions. So negative 5 to the 4th power is the same as negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. That's 5 times 5 times 5, 25, 125, 625. And then you have an even number of negatives. If you recall, any even number of negative values being multiplied together, there's negative 1 times negative 1, that would be a positive value. Any odd variation, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, that's 3, will be negative. So you have 5, 7, 9, whatever. Now, on this one also, because of the parentheses, the negative is included in each of these terms. On letter B here, the negative is not part of the power to the 4th. So this is going to be negative 5, I'll put it in parentheses, 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. That, again, is 625, and now it's going to be negative 625. Again, see the difference between these two. The negative's inside the parentheses, the negative is not here. Now, order of operations, we're not spending time on it, but you remember PEMDAS. For evaluating, make sure you follow order of operations. If you recall, multiplication, division are equal, you work left to right. Same with addition and subtraction. If you have them, you work from left to right on the next step. This is exponents, this is parentheses. All right, variables. Again, variables is part of algebra. It's a letter which is used to represent one or more numbers. Expression involving an expression, again, involving variables is called an algebraic expression. Again, no equal sign for that. When you substitute a number for each variable in an algebraic expression and simplify, you're evaluating the algebraic expression. Well, that's pretty simple. Let's try that. Look at example 2. We have a negative 4x squared minus 6x plus 11. When x is negative 3, again, this is an expression. There's no equal sign here. So we're going to take this negative 3 for the x and substitute it in 2 places, and then follow order of operations. So showing every step along the way. Negative 4. X squared is negative 3, so it's negative 3 squared. Now that negative, it's a square, sorry. That negative is inside parentheses because the square only applies to the x. The square does not apply to negative 4. So whatever x is, negative 3 is squared. Minus 6, again, negative 3 to the 1st power, I guess, plus 11. Next step is now simplifying with the powers. After you substitute, negative 3 squared is going to be a positive 9. So negative 4 times 9 minus, well, this is negative 3 times 6 will be a negative 18. So I'm going to put that in here, negative 18, just to show you all the steps, plus 11. This negative is still here. Negative 3 and positive 6 is negative 18. This now is negative 36. This is positive 18. This is positive 11. Now we're simplifying. So we have negative 36 is going to be negative 18 The answer is going to be -7. That's simplified. We did the evaluating. For example 3 says use a verbal model to solve a problem. You're at the craft fair. You're selling homemade candles at a craft fair for $3 each. You spend $120 to rent the booth and buy materials for the candles. So this 120 is a negative cost to you. It's, so it's a negative value coming out of the money you make or the revenue you bring in. And the money you bring in is the $3 per candle. So each time you sell a candle, you get another $3. So it says write an expression that shows your profit from selling C candles. Well, again, you sell C candles at $3 each. So 3C. So if you sell 10 candles, you get $30. 20 candles, $60. But you're losing 120. That's the materials. That's the booth. Minus 120. So that's the expression. And it says find your profit if you sell 75 candles. Well, 75 candles times 3 each, and subtract the 120 of the cost. So 75 times 3 is going to be 220. Well, let me put it in here for you. Sorry. 3 times 75 minus 120. 225 minus 120. And we end up with what? $105 profit. Okay. So make sure you understand what's going to be a plus, what'll be a minus for your models. Next page. For problems practice, let's look what we got here. We're going to evaluate these. We got some powers and we got some expressions. 6 to the third power, again, 6 is equal 6 times 6 times 6. 36 times 6, I think, is 216. I'll have to change the video if it's not. Negative 2 to the 6th power. Now look, this negative here, I showed this earlier, is not part of the 6th power. So it's the 2 to the 6. I know that 5 to the 2nd power is 32. So the next one will be 64. So this is going to be negative. Well, it's going to be negative 2 to the 6th power. And so it's going to be negative 64. Here it's the same problem almost, except that the parentheses include the negative. So it's going to be negative 2 to the 6th power at 6 is even, of course, as we said earlier. So this will be a positive 64. Evaluating expressions. Small expression, when x is 6, put it into both places. Not a lot of room to work here, but we'll try to squeeze it in. So it's 5 times 6 times 6 minus 2. Just plug the values in and then do your PEMDAS or order of operations. This will be a 4. So this will be 5 times 6 times 4. So I'll show that over here. 5 times 6 times 4. This is 30 times 4. That's 120. Number 5. Evaluate 3y squared minus 4y. Put negative 2 in for these two places. Squaring the negative 2. Tell you what, let's put the problem down here. More room. So 3, negative 2 squared minus 4, negative 2. That's everything substituted. Okay, follow order operations. Negative 2 squared is going to be 4, so 3 times 4 is positive because of the even 2. This is minus a negative 8. And of course this is 12. This is going to be plus 8. You get 20. All right, moving on. Another problem. I don't have to worry about that one. Terms and coefficients. I'm going to be doing some equations now that have variable terms, constant terms. Constant means it has no variable associated with it. And the coefficients are in front of each term. In an expression that can be written as a sum, okay, these are the sums over here, the parts added together are called terms. This has 3 terms. A term that has a variable part is called a variable term. Duh, here they are. A term that has no variable is called a constant. The value doesn't change. No matter what happens to x, it's still negative 7, so it's constant. When a term is a product of a number and a power of a variable, the number is called a coefficient of the number. Coefficients. And when we simplify, an expression is simplified if it contains no grouping symbols and all like terms are combined. So basically we're going to substitute in here and simplify to combine all like terms. Like terms are terms that have the same variable parts. So you can have several x terms or x squared terms. They can be combined together. Let's try a few examples. Example 4. Simplify by combining like terms. 3x plus, or 8x plus 3x, 11x. Not much work to show there. Letter B. You have p squared, and a p. We put the p squareds first. 5p squared minus 2p squared. 3p squared, accounts for these two, plus p. Letter C, you have some distributive property to do first before you start combining terms. So 3 times y and then 2 would be 3y plus 6 minus, now this is minus 4 times y and a minus 4 times minus 7, minus 4y and plus 28. You now have 4 terms. Combine the y terms, combine the constants. 3y and negative 4y is a negative y. 28 plus a 6 is a plus 34. Complete. Letter D, you have an x term, a y term, an x term, a y term. Combine the y terms, combine the x terms. 2x minus 9x, negative 7x. Negative 3y plus y, negative 2y, you're done.